Hello and welcome back to Live Happy Locs. I am your host, Tori Franklin. Stop it. Thank you. Today is a special day. It's a very special day because it is my 1 year lockiversary and it just really felt like it would never come around, but it did. It's today. It's the 1 year lock. These babies are one. Can you believe it? I just remember when they were just 1 day old. Flashback. Good times. I'm just gonna show you what they look like today after 1 year.
My locks have truly transformed in this year. I'm very happy with the thickness, with the fullness, with the health. The amount of frizz has lessened a ton. There are still pieces that grow outside of the lock themselves, and I just maintain them by root wrapping them at the root of each lock. I only have retwisted my hair maybe once every 2 to 3 months. There were some times when I went longer than 3 months without retwisting. And if you remember this little one, this is a little bird. She started all on her own because she didn't have a place to stay. And this here is Zach and Wheezy. If you remember them, the two that couldn't stay separated and wanted to marry, they are thriving.
But what I really want to talk about are the 3 things that I've learned during this 1 year lock journey as it pertains to life. So the 3 things that I've learned this year from my locks are trust, beauty, and connection. Let's dive in. So trust. I could stare at my locks all day. I could throw water on them to try to get them to kink and coil. I could retwist week after week, all in the hopes of my locks maturing faster. But it would be fruitless. None of this would do anything. So what I learned during this process is that it's important to just trust that my locks are gonna do what they are made to do. They're going to lock up. They're going to mature. It just takes time to do it. And I made it a point to carry this notion of trust in all aspects of my life. I'm a professional athlete by day. It's important for me to be able to trust the people in my life to do their job. For example, my coach. It's my coach's job to make the workouts, to determine how often I need to train and at what intensity I need to train. He does things differently than any other coach that I've ever worked with before. And if I try to carry too much of what I've done in the past into this part of my journey, the odds of me being a bronze medalist at this past World's Championship probably wouldn't have been as high. So even though we were doing things completely different than I've ever done them, I had to trust that he knew what he was doing and let the rest go. The same way that I trust that my locks are going to mature one day, I trust that I am going to be okay and that I don't need to control everything. Beauty. We all know the moodiness of locks. They're going to do whatever they want to do. And on any given day, they can decide if they want to work with us or against us. It took for me to stop worrying about how I wanted my locks to look or how I wanted a style to look and just being okay with how it does look and seeing the beauty in all that it is in that moment. Seeing the beauty in myself in that moment. But this didn't stop at an outward gaze of myself. It continued into how I see myself internally as well. Seeing the beauty of my personality, speaking kindness into myself, giving myself loving affirmations, and imagining myself as this beautiful beacon of light that shed beauty and love into and onto anyone whom I encountered. And that's when my worldview began to change as well. I was able to see beauty in not only the normal beautiful things outside as like beautiful architecture or flowers, but in the seemingly mediocre or mundane things and activities. I started to appreciate the beauty of washing dishes. I appreciated the beauty of somebody holding a door open for me. You know, I was able to accept something as it is, and I appreciated the beauty of whatever it had the capacity to show. Yeah. Yeah. And lastly, this year I understood the power of connection like no other. First of all, my locks forced me to be more open. It forced me to be open to how my hair grows, to how long it takes to mature, to trying new and creative styles, or being open to not trying any styles at all. By being able to be my more authentic self, I was able to connect to myself in a way that I haven't allowed myself to do before. And I have a deeper understanding of who I am more than I ever have. I went to the Acropolis Museum with the head archaeologist of Greece, and as he showed us the amazing ancient statues that they've uncovered through years and years of archaeological research, we came upon a few statues that had locks. And he told us that these people that these statues are emulating were the highest of high priests and priestess, and that only the holiest of people were allowed to wear their hair in this style. And I just found it really beautiful and encouraging to see people with locks being held to such a high stature. And it helped me to deep dive even more to what it means to wear locked hair and how that affects my life and how I can connect to it more deeply. I feel like it's not a secret that locks are a sign of wisdom and the pursuit of purity in a lot of cultures. They say that your energy exits through the top of your head, and by locking your hair, it stops that energy from being released, and it allows you to hone into your energy more and to have more physical strength. Coincidence or not, I feel like I have experienced this. I've been through a lot of changes this year as far as moving out of the United States to Greece, switching coaches, and pursuing greatness in a very physical way. And I am the strongest I've ever been, the fastest I've ever been, the lightest I've ever been. It feels as though my body and my mind are finally on the same page. If you're an athlete or anyone who tries to do a very specific physical task, sometimes your body doesn't react the way you want it to. Sometimes your body doesn't physically do what your mind knows you want it to do. But this year, I am able to get those two more closely in alignment. Anyway, those are the main 3 things that I've learned during my 1 year locked. Thank you so much for joining me. May we all become more trusting, more beautiful, and more deeply connected. Live happy.